So I noticed a little issue that happens sometimes with the subscription for new reaction. If I were to run it and listen to new reactions and go and react to a message, let me show you as well that there's no reactions right now in the database. So if I select from reactions, you see that it's an empty set. So if I go to, let's get all messages between John and Jane, and let's say I want to react to this latest one. So copy that UUID and go down here to the react to message, paste that in and give a thumbs up and hit enter. All right, so it reacts, but it doesn't actually get the reaction in the subscription. And if I do it again, or let's say I switch up the emote to a different one, even with the same one, it's gonna work. So if I send like the love emote, hit enter, and you see now it actually gets us this this reaction. And the problem that's happening here is if we go back to the code, right here, where is it? Here, if the reaction is created from the ground up, it's a new one. It's gonna go to the subscription, but this will fail. Where is it? Right here, this get message call will fail. And that's because if we go to the message model, or rather the reaction model, right here, what Sequelize does when you just say belongs to message, it uses like it infers the ID by combining the name of the model, which is message, and the primary key of that model, which is ID. So it looks for this message ID, but it doesn't find it the first time because it doesn't exist on the database. When it fetches it, it actually populates it, but the first time it doesn't exist. This actually exists on our database. So we can use this instead. So one cool thing that we can do here, we can add an options array here and be explicit about it and tell Sequelize that we need to look for the foreign key, message, ID, like so, camel cased and not Pascal cased. And now it's never going to make that mistake. And I'm going to copy that and say the same for user, but of course this will be user ID. I'm going to save, and now let's test that. I'm going to again delete all reactions. So delete from reactions, hit enter. And now if we go back to Chrome and I'll reload just in case, hit the subscription. And now if I go here and react to this message, it's the first reaction. And now we get it. So it never fails, even if it's a new reaction. So that's that. And also one thing that I wanted to change, I don't know why I did that in the last video, but I want to fix it now. Let's go to type definitions. Right here in the reaction type, inside of the message and the user, let's have them as lowercase variables, because these are not actual classes. They're just instances of a class. So it makes sense to have them lowercase. And we need to also go to the index.js in the resolvers and change these field resolver names. So here, lowercase m and lowercase u, and save. And that now we're going to consume them as lowercase variable named. So now we can actually start to work on the front end and display these reactions and allow the user to send new ones. So let's get to that. All right. So if we look at our UI, what I want to do now is I want to add a smiley icon here, which if you click it, like in Messenger, you get a popover that has all the different reactions that you can choose from, and then you can send the reaction to that message. So let's go to so I'm going to close everything and go to client, source, pages, home, and then go to the message.js. And here I'll simply create an element. So I'll say const react button equals, and this will be a button from Bootstrap, from React Bootstrap. So close that, and inside of it, it's gonna have an icon, an iframe, or icon rather, with a class name of, and this will be a font awesome icon. So FARFA-smile, which is a smiley icon. Close that, and okay, imported button. Make sure it's importing button from React Bootstrap. And for this button, I'm going to give it a variant of link so that it doesn't add any stylings to it. And I'm also going to give it class name of px2 to give it some padding on the right and left so that it doesn't attach right next to the message. Now, of course, we need to put this, otherwise it's not going to render anything. So I'm going to put it here right next to the message. So just open curly braces and say React button like this and save. And let's see what that looks like. All right, it looks cool, but it's always left to the message. And we want it so that if the message is received, you want it to be on the right, on this side. So, and also, oh, I just noticed it. Also, it's inside of the overlay trigger, so that it's triggering the this popover or this tooltip. So we need to actually move it outside. Actually, this div, I'm gonna move this opening div tag to wrap the entire overlay trigger right here. And also we need to remove the closing tag of that one, or actually move it down outside of the overlay trigger. I added the closing tag here. I'm going to remove that. And this React button, I'm going to move it to go outside the overlay trigger right here and save. Let's look at that. Okay, much better. Now, of course, I forgot to put this on the right. So we can simply say here at the top, which is on the left, this is in case it's actually sent. So we can just say sent, which we have as a variable, and say and React button. So if it's sent, you put it on the left. If it's received, let's go right after the overlay trigger, paste there, and this will be received. Save that. And now if we go here, we'll see if it's sent, it's on the left, if it's received, on the right. Cool. Now, of course, it doesn't do anything. We need to make it so that when we click it, it opens that little popover. So let's go back, and up here, we're going to wrap this in another overlay trigger. So let's say overlay trigger, and this will have a couple of props. So first is the trigger. And this will have a click trigger, so it needs to be clicked, and a placement of top. And this will have a show property, which is a boolean. So if it's true, it's shown. If false, it's hidden. And we're gonna create this as a state variable. So let's go here, say use state, and then this will be called show pop over. And here, let's make that lowercase, and here initially it's going to be false. Make sure that it's importing use state at the top, so use state from React. And here we'll say the show will be the show popover that we just created. And we'll use a function, a property called onToggle. And onToggle, what it does basically, you give it a function that changes the state of show. And in this case, it's just the set show popover, just like this. And here I'm going to give it a property of transition false, which removes the transition, and this removes another set of issues with the React find node thing with in the strict mode. So I'll just give it a transition of false, close that, take the closing tag and put it after the button so that the button is inside as the child element. And now this is not complete because this is just a button inside an overlay trigger rather. And speaking of overlay, we need to add the overlay inside of here as a prop. So we'll say overlay, and this will be a new element. So this will be the popover. So popover, make sure to import it from, okay, I just imported it by clicking enter. So make sure to import it from React Bootstrap. So down here, this popover, this will be an element, and this will have a class name of rounded pill to make it look like the message, like with rounded corners. And here this needs a popover content, so popover.content, close that, and the content will be the reactions, all of the reactions, the possible reactions as buttons. So here we need to, actually I'm gonna paste the reactions up here, and we need to loop through them, and for each one create a button that we can click. So inside of here, we need to open an expression and say reactions.map, and for each reaction, arrow, and we're going to return a button. So button, and we're going to give this a variant of link as well, so that it doesn't give it any other styling, link. And as we're looping through an array, we need to give a key value or property, and this will be the reaction itself. And let's give this a onClick handler or event, and we'll call this, so let's do an arrow like a callback, and we'll call this react. And we'll react, it doesn't exist yet, that's why it's auto-completing it. And we'll pass it the reaction itself. And we don't need to pass it the UID of the message because we have it across the whole component. Now let's close this. And inside the button, we're going to have the reaction itself because it's a piece of text at the end of the day, it's a string. So let's create this react function. So up here we'll say const react, and this will be a function that takes a reaction. And for now, we're just gonna console log do template string and say reacting, and do $ curly braces and put the reaction, and then say to message, and then again do $ curly braces and put the message.uuid just to see some feedback on the console. Save, and let's look at the app. Let's open the console and let's open the messages here and delete everything. And if we click on this, there we go, we get a popover. Now, of course, like the styling on this is not the best, but it's almost like it's nearly there. I want to remove actually here when we click on this, because it's a button, it's given it this box shadow, and I think it's on the BTN link. So if we go to that button, we inspect it. I'm gonna click on hover here, and I think it's like, yeah, it's when it's focused right here. It's actually the entire BTN class. It's given it this box shadow. We need to remove this. I don't like that effect. And also for these, when we hover them, they're given an underline. So if we hover, if we click on hover there, you see it gives it a text decoration of underline. I don't want that underline under the icon as well. But I don't want it to apply to all BTN links, so I'm going to give it a unique class name. So here, for that button of variant link, I'm going to give it a class name of React icon button. And we need to target this. So let's go to the app CSS or SCSS. And down here, we'll say dot React icon button. What was it? Was it when it's, yeah, when it's hovered. So do colon hover, hover, and was it text? Yeah, text decoration. We're gonna say none. Yeah, none. Let's say text decoration of none. And also we need to style this. Where is it? The yeah, this button right here. So we can say in general.btn colon focus. So when it's focused, give it a box shadow of, oh, not box sizing, box shadow of none. And let's save and let it rebuild. And now if we go there, we click on this, we don't get that box shadow. And if we hover over these, we don't get any underline. Cool. One thing, I want to remove this extra spacing between these icons. So that's the button having too much padding. So we can target that React icon button. We already did that. So we can just add, actually we targeted the hover. So we can just move this inside and say, and paste that in, and then put that in curly braces. And now we can target the class itself without any pseudo class. And here we'll say padding left and give it 0.25 rem, or actually 25, not 35. Repeat that one more time and replace this with right. And then the padding top and bottom should be 0. So do that and then repeat it one more time and replace this with bottom. And save. Let's look at it again. All right, cool. It looks much better now. And also I want it, if I hover one of these icons, I want the font size to increase on them. So let's go back. Here we can simply give it a font size of 1 rem. And then when it's hovered, let's copy that and give it a font size of 2 rem and save. Now if I hover on it, actually it's too big and it's kind of jittery. There's no animation to it. So we can add a transition, oh, not transform, transition of 0.25 seconds. And then here, let's reduce this to 1.5 rem. And let's look at it now. All right, it's so much better now. But it's kind of like increasing the size of the entire the content thing wrapper that has it. So let's give that a fixed size. So I'm going to create a class here, call it React button pop over, and this will have a fixed height of 30 pixels. I'm going to copy this class name, save, and let's go here and give that to the popover content that wraps it. So class name, and paste that class name, and let's look at it. Let's go here. Okay, it's going to the bottom because they're like we can make them okay, we can make this a display of flex, so deflex, and give it an align items center, save. And now it should, cool. Now it's just it's actually fixed to the middle. So the icon grows to the top and bottom so that it doesn't actually go down or go up. And let's give it some padding as well. So actually on the sides, I'm going to remove the sides and give it on the top and bottom. So let's give it a px of 0 on the sides, and then on top and bottom, let's say py1. And let's look at it. Okay, it looks much better now. It looks very close to what Messenger's thing looked like. Okay, let's now write the actual thing, the actual not subscription, the React to message mutation, and actually execute it. So let's go up here. After the reactions here, I'm going to say const react underscore to underscore message. This will be equal to GQL. We need to actually, we're importing that from Apollo server, and we also need to use mutation. Use mutation, and here we'll do backticks. Backticks, and inside of here we'll say mutation. What is it? React to message, and this takes a UUID, and that's a string, and it's required, and also a content, and that's a required string as well. And it will trigger the React to message, message, and it will pass it a UUID of that same UUID that we receive, and the same thing for content. So content $content, and we'll get we'll only get a UUID, the content, and the created at. Actually, these are not important at all. We can omit them. We can just get the UUID because we're gonna get the reactions using a subscription, so this doesn't matter. It's kind of the same thing that happens to messages when we add them. So let's go down here. Here we'll say const array destructure react to message, message, and that will be from use mutation, and pass it the react to message. And we'll have some options, and let's say on error, just in case an error happens. And we're just gonna console log that error, console log error, and on completed. Don't know why I'm not getting autocomplete here. On completed, and we'll get data, and let's just console log that data for now. Console log data, and actually, we need to close this, because if we click on one of these, we need to close this popover and then send that reaction. Actually, I forgot to click it and demonstrate that it's actually printing that to the console. So there you go, reacting that. And if I click here, oh, actually it's opening two at once, and that's not what I wanted to do. So we can fix that. And that's simply, we can go to the popover here and add another prop that's called root close and save. What this does is if you click away, so, oh, got an error. Cannot read property prototype of undefined. Oh, this shouldn't be from Apollo server. This should be from @apollo/client, like so, and save, and that should now be fixed. All right, so if we go to our popover and we click on one of these, and we click away, it actually closes it. So if we go click on that and then we click on this, it closes the first one because of that root close. But of course it's not closing this now. Let's go to our network. Yeah, we're not sending actually the request yet. So here, where we get the reaction in the React function, we can say react to message and use this react to message from here. And then we need to pass it variables, and this will have a UUID, and this will be the message.uuid that we have available in the from the props, and it will have also the content, which will be the reaction that was received to this function. And we can remove this line now, and now it should call this. And also here on complete, we need to close this this little popover because it's already completed. We can actually close it before, but I'm going to close it after this operation is done. So we'll say set show popover to false, and let's save. And now let's go back and let's go here and refresh just in case. Look at the network tab, and if I click here and I click this thumbs up, it closes it and it actually sends the request to our database. And there we go. It's actually successful because it sent the operation react to message, And as a response, we get data react to message, which means it was successful. All right. Now, of course, we don't see the reactions. So let's now work on that. Let's show the reactions to the messages. And there's one thing that I forgot to do in last video, which let's go back to the backend. So inside of the type definitions, here inside the message type, I'm going to add reactions. And this will be an array of reactions, and it's not required. And let's save. And also let's go to the database model, which one? Message. Here in the associate, we need to add a different association now and say, actually from the models, we need the reaction model, like this, reaction. And here we'll say this dot has many, and this has many reactions. So reaction. And I'm going to give it an alias because this by default is going to have the plural of the model name, which will be like this, which will be reaction plus s. But we want it as a lowercase like this. So I'll say this has many. And then for the options, we can say foreign key, but it already knows. So I'm just going to specify, I'm just going to say as and say reactions like this. And this will return us the relationship or the association named under reactions like that. So let's save. Now we need to fetch these. So let's go to the messages resolver and we can simply go. So we need it for when we get the messages. So let's go to the get messages query. And right here where we fetch all the messages between us and another user, we can simply here add include. So includes rather. And this takes an array, and the array will be of an object. And since we have an alias here, which is this thing, we need to also include it in the include. So we'll say model, and the model will be reaction, and we'll say as, and give that same alias reactions. And this will now include all the reactions that have a message ID of this message, of any of these messages that are in this list. We can actually see this in the playground. So if we go to the playground, now if we go to get messages, we can now add reactions. Actually, I need to refresh the schema. So reactions, and from reactions, I'm going to get the UID and the content and hit enter. Oh, there's an error because I need to change down here. Okay, this is no longer with capital M and capital U. And now send this again. And there we go. We get our messages, but the reactions are null. And why is that? Oh yeah, I knew this is include, not includes. I don't know why it auto-completed to includes. All right, let's run that. And there we go. We actually get the reactions array. So this message has a reaction and this message has no reactions. So you get an empty array. Cool. So that's working. Now we can actually display them on the front end. So let's go back to the message.js. Actually, not this message.js, the actual client message.js. Let's scroll down. And here inside the message bubble, right here before the message, I'm going to add the reactions. So let's open curly braces and say message. And actually, we need to check if this message has any reactions. So we can say message.reactions.length is bigger than, if it's bigger than 0, 0. And we'll say and meaning that if this statement is correct, return the following. And here I'll say div. I'll give it a class name of BG secondary to have like gray background. Give it some padding, so P1. And also give it rounded pill, so it has this rounded edges. And the rounded pill, close that. Close the div tag there. And here we'll loop through the reactions, and for each one we're going to return the content, which is basically that emote. So here we'll say message.reactions.map, and for each reaction R, we're going to return R.content and save. And let's see what that looks like. Oh, there's an error. Cannot read property length of undefined. Okay, so that means the reactions is undefined. Oh, I think, okay, let's go to the context rather. The message context, or actually not in the context, in the messages.js. Right here where we fetch messages, yeah, here, we need to fetch the reactions as well. Even though if they're empty, that's fine. We'll add reactions inside of the get messages, and we're only gonna get the UID and the content for now. So save that, and now if we go inside of here, There we go. We get this one has 1 thumbs up, but of course, like the styling is messed up on that. What I want to do is make this go to the side and under here. So I'm going to give it a position of absolute and position it to the bottom right of it. So let's go back to message.js, this one right here. I'm actually going to give this a custom class, say reactions -div, and let's go to the app.scss and target that. So here we'll say .reactions div, and we'll give it a position of absolute, absolute, and let's give it a right of -10 pixels, and a bottom of -25 pixels. And let's give it some font size that's slightly smaller because it looks too big right now. So let's give it a font size of 0.5 rem, and that's fine. Let's save that. Let's look at it. Let's refresh. Okay. Oh, I forgot to save the message.js. Let's look at it now. Oh, it's way down here. Oh, I forgot to give this a position of relative, and also it's way too small. So let's give it a 0.9 rem, and let's give the wrap in div. So where are we? So we're here. Let's give the div that wraps it, this one, a position relative. So position relative like this, and let's look at it again. Okay, so it's still way too small. Oh, it's because I forgot to save the sass. All right, it looks much better now. And I also want to add a number next to it of like, because there could be multiple reactions. I want to add a number of how many reactions there is. So we're going to go here and message.js. I'm actually going to move this outside. So I'm going to move this up here, create a constant. So const reactions equals, actually we already have reactions here. So we'll just say reaction icons equals, and I'm going to do array destructor and spread a new set, which ensures that we only get unique elements of what we pass it, because we could have like multiple thumbs up. We don't want to show 2 thumbs up or 3 thumbs up. We just want to show 1 thumbs up and then show the number of total reactions there is. So we'll say new set, and then paste message.reactions.map whatever we had, and now we can use this reaction icons instead down here. So here, yeah, reaction icons, and now we'll do space and do curly braces again and say message dot reactions dot length. All right, save that, and let's look at it now. All right, so we get 1 next to it. Let me log out. So I'm gonna log out and log in as boss. 1 2 3 4 5 6. And now if I go there, and if I put as well like a different one, okay, it's actually sending it, but we haven't actually, I forgot we haven't done the part where we are receiving them in real time. So I'm just gonna refresh, and there we go. We get, okay, we get, there's a problem here. We get the heart and the thumbs up, and we get the 2, but it's actually hidden behind this. And yeah, okay, I know why. It's because the padding is applied to the column that's behind it. We need to apply the padding to the to this div instead, so that if there's something a bit outside of it, we can still see it. So that's simple. Let's go to messages.js. So that would be, yeah, right here. This is this column. So I'm gonna give it a class name of p0 to remove all padding from it, and then give both of these some padding. So right here, this will have a p-3 to have padding of 3 on all sides. And then this now needs the padding because we removed the padding from here. So I'm going to give it a class name of, and I know what I'm writing here, so it's going to be px3 on the sides and py2 on the top and bottom. So let's save that. Let's look at it. Okay, there's some issue here. Okay, so, okay, this form group is has some padding, so I'm just going to remove the padding from the form group. So right here, say p-0, save, okay, nothing changed. Oh, sorry, that's margin, so m-0, save. All right, it looks much better now. Okay, so yeah, we can see the numbers of the reactions, and the padding looks exactly the same. Cool. So now what's left is for us to receive these reactions as they happen in real time and add them to our context. So let's go back, And it doesn't matter where you do it from, I'm gonna keep all the subscriptions in the home.js. So it's gonna be very similar to the new message subscription. So we can just copy this, paste it here, change this to new, new reaction. And this will say reaction, and we'll get the UID, and it doesn't have a from and to. We'll get the content, and we'll get the message as well, because we're gonna need it. And from the message, we'll get the UID, the from, and the to, because we don't need the content. I'll show you why later. And here we can copy this as well one more time, and we'll change this to subscription. So actually, no, I'm just gonna change this and this. Not subscription, sorry, reaction. So reaction data, reaction error, and this will use the subscription new reaction. And I'm gonna copy this use effect call as well and paste it one more time. I'm gonna paste it just that one time and select this message, and I'm gonna change all occurrences, or actually just these 2 occurrences, or 3 for now, to reaction. So if there's an error, console log it. If there's a reaction data, then we'll get a reaction, and that will be from reaction data dot new reaction. And we need to get the other user as well, same logic, but here we're going to compare the user dot username to the reaction dot message dot to, and then also the reaction dot message dot from. Otherwise, it's going to be reaction dot message dot to. Save that to format it. And here we'll use message dispatch as well. But the type will create this. We haven't created it yet, and we'll call it add a reaction. And the payload will be the same, so username other user. But of course, the actual payload will have a reaction key with the value of reaction. And here we'll change these two to reaction error and reaction data. Okay, let's save. And now let's go and create this action in the and handle it in the context. So let's go to the context.message.js, and let's go here before the default case. This will be a bit complicated, but this is kind of the end of this application, so bear with me. So let's say case and call it add reaction, because we just called it that in the home page. And here we'll actually do a similar thing to this. So we're gonna make a copy to user copy to users from the state and get the user index of this user that we passed. But here we need the reaction, so we're gonna destructure that up here from the action payload. So add the reaction here, and let's go back down, and let's make a copy of this user that we want to edit. So we'll say let user copy equals, and open an object and spread users copy and pass this user index that we just got. And here what we're gonna do, actually I'm gonna put some comments. So make a shallow copy of user, and I'm gonna duplicate this, and because we're gonna make a couple of copies of things. And here we'll say actually here no, we need to get the message itself. So I'll get the message index. So let's say const message index, because we need to find out which message that this reaction belongs to, so that we can add this reaction to those reactions of that message. And here we'll say it equals user copy dot messages, and let's add a question mark because this might not exist, dot find index, and we'll find the index of a message where the message dot UUID equals reaction dot message dot UUID. Remember, we're actually getting it up here. That's why we got the message from the reaction, so that we can use the that message UUID to compare. Okay, so that's the message index. So I'm gonna remove this comment. Now we're gonna say if message index is bigger than -1, because if it doesn't find it, it's gonna be -1. Because you know, maybe we haven't fetched messages, the messages of this user, so we don't need to add any reactions because we haven't fetched the messages themselves. So here, if it's bigger than -1, then we have this message. So we're gonna make a copy of messages. So we'll say let. Actually, now I need that comment that I just deleted, and just put it here. Make a shallow copy of user messages, and we can add a comment here. Say find the index of the message that this reaction pertains to. That's a long comment. All right, so here we'll say let, what is this? Yeah, the messages copy, so messages copy, and this will be equals, we spread the array of user copy dot messages. And here, actually, we need to make a copy of reactions as well. So we can simply just duplicate this and say make a shallow copy of user message reactions. I know it's a bit like of a mind flip, but you know, it gets the job done. So this will be reactions copy, and this will be from the messages. So we spread messages copy, and we're gonna use this message index that we got. So message index, and from there we're gonna get the reactions of that to that message. So reactions like this. And now we need to get that reaction, because right now that reaction might exist. Maybe it existed already. We just updated it with a different emote. So let's get the index of that reaction, and we can actually just copy this message index, paste it here, and this will be reaction index, and this will equal reactions copy, and remove that dot find index, where change this to r, reaction equals reaction ID equals reaction dot, or UID rather, equals reaction dot UID, like this. And now we're gonna say if reaction index is bigger than -1. So here that means reaction exists, updated, else let's say new reaction added. So we'll do just that. So we'll say reaction or reactions copy reaction index. Oh, what is that? Index equals reaction that we just got from the payload. Otherwise, we'll say reactions copy equals, and then we spread the existing reactions copy, and the order doesn't matter here. And then we add the reaction there. Now, after this if statement, we need to say messages copy and take that message index. This will equal an object where we spread the existing messages copy message index. And now we replace the reactions with this reactions copy like this. And now we simply replace the users copy. So users copy equals, and then we do an object, we spread the existing users copy, and we change the messages to this messages copy. And after all of this, down here, we will return spread the existing state and declare users, and the users will be users copy. We're making a bunch of copies and like updating them. So basically what we're doing, let's go back through it one more time. We get a copy of the existing users, that's easy. We get the index of the user, that this message, that this reaction is in a message of their messages. And then we get a copy of that user. And then we get the index of that message to which this reaction belongs to. And then now we check if this message exists, because maybe we haven't fetched messages yet. And if it does exist, then we make a copy of messages, make a copy of reactions. We update that reaction by finding its ID and then updating it, or maybe adding it if it doesn't exist. And then we replace those objects in the copies, in that copy, and then we just replace the existing state variable with this user's copy. So this should work. We don't have any errors. Cool. Let's go back to our app. And then let's go, for example, to John. And let's thumbs up this. Hey, we get an error. Nice. Users.find does not function. Oh, okay. I know why. Right here, actually, I edited the users copy and made it into an object, which is not the correct way of doing this. I'm supposed to do user copy equals that, and then replace that index inside of users copy, because users copy should always be an array. So here we'll say users copy and find the index of user index, and then replace that with this user copy and save. And now that shouldn't happen. So let's refresh. let's look at the actual context. So message provider, context provider, and let's look, for example, to Jane, or actually to John, because John has messages. Open John up, open his messages, and the second one. So the second one has actually no, the second one is the first. They're reversed here. So this one has a thumbs down, and if I change it now to a mad, oh, okay, that's strange. It actually changes, but now it ruined the details on the left side. Okay, that was silly. It's actually right here. It's user copy equals, we spread user copy instead of users copy. Maybe you didn't make this mistake. All right, let's refresh. And here, if I change this now to like a surprised look, cool. It changes immediately and nothing happens. It doesn't ruin our like app. Cool. So actually, let me open 2 windows. And let's go to John. Hello, John. Oh, okay, another error. Okay, this one makes sense because message.reactions is undefined because right here, this happens when we add a new message. Actually, luckily we ran into that. So that should be, yeah, here. So when we receive this message, it actually doesn't have any reactions yet, right? So we can simply update here in the context up here. When we add a message, we can simply say right here, when we set that message, where is it? Actually, we can add it to the object itself. So we have the object message, right? We can simply say message before we added message dot reactions equals an empty array, because we know it doesn't have any reactions. It's just been added. It's new. All right, save that. And let's now refresh. So here we said, hello, John. I'm going to say hello, boss. And that problem doesn't happen again. Oh, interesting. I'm actually logged in with the same account. Okay, let me log in as boss. Wait, am I logged in as boss on both? Oh, actually I was. Let me log in as John. So John 1 through 6. Okay, so let's message between John and boss. Hello, John. Cool, that error doesn't happen again. Hello, boss. And if I like this, he sees it immediately. And if I like it, or I put that mad face, we get both of them. But actually this tooltip is messing with that. And if I do thumbs down, actually, no, let me do a thumbs up. Cool, we don't get 2 thumbs up, we just get 1 and we get the number 2. Okay, so the app is done now. For deployment, actually, I want to ask you to do something. So go to classed.com, and that's classed with 3 S's, of course, like the channel name. And go ahead and type your email here. I'm going to type mine, classed@gmail.com. And hit enter. And why I'm doing this is that I want a way to contact you directly, you know, because YouTube is great, but I don't have a way to contact you directly in case I wanted to send you something cool, you know. And don't worry, this is not going to be some spammy newsletter. It's just going to be probably 1 or 2 emails a month. And each one of these emails will have a link to unsubscribe in case you want to do that. And yeah, I'm planning some cool stuff to send you over email. So please go ahead and put your email there and submit it. So yeah, all right, back to the case at hand. For deployment, I'm going to do a separate video on how to deploy this app, but I'm not sure which platform to use yet. Some people are asking for DigitalOcean, some people are asking for Netlify. So yeah, it's going to be one of those, or maybe another one, we'll see. Put down in the comment which platform you want me to deploy this to, and maybe I'll go with the most popular one. So yeah. Thank you for watching, and please, of course, destroy the like button, the subscribe, click all the buttons, and after you're done clicking all of them, just close that window and go for a walk or whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I love you very, very much, and take care. Bye.